Oh, hi there. Let's do a Q&A.
What's your point of view? What's your story? What do you want to tell? What do you want to say? What do you want to do the most? That's what you should be worried about.
Welcome back to Adventure in Art. My name is Ben Staley, your resident talking head. Haven't done a Q&A in a while, so let's get into it because I tend to get long-winded and there's nothing else to really talk about except answering these darn questions. I put up a little post on the YouTube and a couple of you, 14 of you, 13 of you, ask some questions. So here we go. In no particular order, got my laptop here and I'm just going down the list. What's your drink of choice? Timov Nenrikov. Sounds Eastern European, perhaps Russian or Ukrainian or, you know, somewhere Eastern Bloc. What's your drink of choices? Choices plural. I am addicted to coffee. I gotta have coffee or I get like a headache in the morning. Although I don't have it right away. I wake up pretty early. This morning I woke up at 4. My body just wakes up and sometimes I just want to sleep in till like 7 or 8. I can't do that. So I get up, I have a cup of tea because I don't want to blast my body with caffeine right away, but about an hour later I need some caffeine. So coffee, gotta have coffee. If we're talking alcohol, I'm drinking very little alcohol anymore and I recommend this. But you do you. I like to drink. I like alcohol. I like getting my buzz on. Actually, it was Easter and I went to hang out with my brother and his wife on Easter and had a little Sunday brunch and had some mimosas and it felt good. It was good. Got a little buzz on. But typically, I'll go weeks, sometimes months with no alcohol. When I am drinking, I like beer. I like a Hefeweizen or a wheat beer. I like if I'm eating out and having a nice steak or something. I like an extra dirty vodka martini. Love it, love it. And I have expensive taste. I like the high-end vodka. I like a Chopin, really tasty. But you dump all that olive juice in there and really, who cares? I like that salt and I like big fat olives in there that you can eat. It's like a meal and a drink at the same time. Also like a good scotch. Yeah, just on the rocks or neat. Yeah, that's what I like. Worstling Yoda, it doesn't tell me that person's actual name, but anyways, what have you accomplished towards your 2024 goals with the additional time gained from staying off social media? You guys are paying attention to the channel. Okay, here's full disclosure. I just went to New York a couple weeks ago. Maybe you saw the video. They asked me to come out and speak, and that was a kind of a surprise. And so I have had to get on social media just to promote that stuff because people spend money to send me out there. Lumix buys my plane ticket and the event like Cine Gear, I'm kind of there to promote the event and we all help each other out. They're promoting me, they're saying nice stuff about me, putting me in front of an audience, and then I have to kind of promote the event too. So I had to get on social media to do that very sparingly. But I'll tell you this, after not being on it for a few months and then it just kind of sucks you back in and then it's like your brain kicks in. But I will tell you this, it's pretty cool. Like at first it's like this addiction, it'd be like caffeine or coffee or something and just like you kind of need it. But then once you just really don't need it and you don't need to pacify yourself and just looking at your little frickin' device, it's ridiculous. It feels really good. And then I'm just looking for, I have this time now. What can I do? I can read, or I can write, or I can work on a project. So have I worked towards my goals, my big goals? I've gotten a lot done this year. And I've actually created pitches for a whole bunch of projects. I'm actually in pre-production on a big project that you're definitely going to hear about on this channel. I'm not going to say another word, but it's big. That's exciting. So yeah, it's been good. I recommend abstaining from social media for long periods of time. I think it's healthy. It opens up your mind more. You're not doing the scrolling. I'm looking at art. I'm looking at media. I'm putting information in my brain in a different way. I recommend it. I still feel like we're early in the year. We're like the first third of the year still, I think. Yeah, April. Yeah, we're in the first 4 months, first third of the year. So we're about to kick into the second half of the year in a few months. I don't know. We'll see. I'll come back and talk about this at the end of the year probably. Great question, thank you. Thank you for paying attention to what's going on in my life. Geez, that's weird. Mapcamp10, hello, when and how do you find this funny welcome greeting slogan, resident talking head? Oh, that's funny. Like one of my very first videos, I'd say the first half dozen videos, I just sat down actually in my desk right there. I remember it too. And I sat down and I didn't really think about what I was going to say, but I just sat down and I'm like, hey, I'm Ben, I'm your resident talking head. And that just popped in my head. And then after that, I just kept saying it. So now it's kind of my thing and it's what I say. I didn't know I was going to say it 2 seconds before I said it the first time. But, you know, it's kind of stuck. And yeah, that's what I am. Just a talking head here. Who cares? Maybe you're listening, maybe you're not. Miggle Tank. Man, these usernames are really weird on YouTube. Could you clarify the use of LUT in photography on Lumix? Yeah, I could. And I'm going to start doing this more because with my walking videos, it's been super cool. And I've really gotten almost addicted to using LUTs and just pumping out JPEGs. I mean, not for pro work and stuff, but for like personal work and just hiking around and just having an instant JPEG. It's so cool. All the Lumix cameras have this feature called real-time LUT. And I think it's kind of in there primarily for video. So you know, like if you shoot your video in a log format, then later you can use a LUT, a lookup table, to provide a certain look. It basically, all it is a table. It's just like, okay, this color is now going to look like this color, and this color is now going to look like this color. So that's something that professional colors have used to provide a look to video for years. And you know, we all have LUTs if we do video. So, but you can take that and you can apply it in camera. So you can bake it into the video if you want, or you can preview it, and you can also apply it to JPEGs in photo mode. I'm not going to go into the deep menu settings of how you do this. It's pretty easy. Maybe I'll do that in the future. It's awesome. I love it. I think when I have time here, I'm going to sit down and create a couple LUTs of my own. It's pretty easy to do. I've never done it, but I kind of know how. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to give them away on my website, and then I'm going to be doing more. But I'm going to be doing more of these walking videos because y'all seem to kind of like them. I'm going to Vegas for a big expo next week, and I think I'm going to do a walking in Vegas video where I use a LUT, and then I'm probably going to do a walking in LA, downtown LA and Hollywood, like an epic long day, and make a couple of videos out about that, from that, using real-time LUT. Real-time LUT is a function that Lumix cameras have. It's similar to these film emulations that are built into Fuji cameras. I've never used those, but I think it's pretty dope. I love it. I was like not really considering it first, but once I started using it, it's super rad. You just get a look pumped right out of camera. You don't even have to edit it if you don't want to. It's great. Rodrigo, hello. If you have to choose only 2 lenses to travel light, which ones will you choose? Thank you. I mean, look, when I do travel, I go really light. Sometimes only 1 or 2 lenses. I'm changing, right? Sometimes, like when I used to travel and I had this is way back in the day, I had a GH2 or GH3. I had this little it was a 20 millimeter on Micro Four Thirds, a 20 millimeter pancake lens. It was like this little skinny lens, really inexpensive, couple $100, 1.7. I loved that lens. I should get one of those again. I don't have that anymore. And typically I'm mostly shooting full frame. So, okay, what 2 lenses? I'm a 50 millimeter guy. I always love 50 millimeter, but I think now I've been shooting 35 more. And I think if I could only have 2 lenses to travel with, I would bring a 35 millimeter and an 85 millimeter. One time I went to Europe a few years ago, right before the pandemic. We went to Spain and Portugal, and I had my 50 millimeter Summicron manual lens, and then I had an 85 millimeter Art Sigma lens. End up shooting with the 85 millimeter a lot. I love long lens landscapes, and you know, of course, sometimes you can't get a whole scene, you can't get wide with that 85 millimeter, but I would just stick with 1 lens for the day. That's what I have, that's what I'm shooting with. I really dug it. So I think now if I was going to have only 2 lenses, I'd do a 35 and an 85, or maybe a 35 and my Voigtlander 75, which is manual. That's an insane lens. So yeah, that's what I would do. I'd go medium wide and then medium long lens. Good question. How has photography shaped your personal, professional relationships with others? I mean, I feel like so many of my friends I've met through photography and through creativity, and through doing things together, and you build a relationship that way. It's certainly changed me professionally, like in my peer group and the people that do what I do, this kind of Discovery Channel, Nat Geo type stuff that we do. I'm known among those people as like, oh, Staley's a good photographer. That's cool, because we all are into making images, and I have that reputation, I guess, amongst my peers there. But if you take a lot of pictures and you stick them out there in the world, people come to know you as that. And so what I do creatively absolutely has shaped my identity in the eyes of other people. And I'm okay with that. I think it's cool. And it's certainly what I like to do in my free time. It's what I do for a living, but it's what I like to do in my free time. And it's what I like to talk about when I have those relationships and those friends and those people I can discuss these things with. That's what I like doing the most. I mean, that's just what I like in life. So it absolutely has shaped my relationships. Great question. Do you always have a point of departure? Yes and no. I sometimes have a goal. Sometimes I have an image in my head, someplace I want to go, someplace I'm trying to get to. Much of the time, particularly with the personal fun work, I have a question. I have like some kind of something I'm curious about, I always try and have something like that I'm trying to discover. I'm leaving room. Weird. I'm trying not to have like preconceived ideas or maybe we're going to try this. I don't exactly know what's going to happen. I'm always trying to do that. Do something I haven't seen before or something I have done before, but do it in a different way. So it's yes or no. On professional jobs and bigger jobs and client jobs, and like you absolutely need to have an end goal in mind if you want to deliver. You can't just deliver whatever the heck happens. But in the personal work, I like to just leave room for discovery. How did you create the look you used for the design of your photos? Peter asks that. You know, it develops over time. You know, your taste changes, your style changes. You know, you use different cameras and stuff, but like I can usually, in Lightroom, kind of achieve the same look with different cameras. It's harder, it's easier. You switch up a system, you go from, you know, we're using one brand of camera to another brand. You might have to learn there's certain things that you can do or can't do, or different dynamic range, or just different color properties. I'm doing most of my work in black and white, so that makes it easier, I think. But it's evolved over time. I'm actually about to put up a video in a few weeks that shows a bunch of work from the last, 12 or 15 years. And I don't know, admittedly, I was digging through the archives and digging out some old portrait work, and like I had a different style. I had a different style a decade ago. Well, it's okay, but I like what I'm doing now better. And, we grow and we change as artists, and that's cool. Maybe 10 years from now, I'll be doing different stuff. But it's intuitive, it's instinctual, it's based on probably the media that I'm intaking and what I'm liking. And I don't really think about a personal style. I just tune my images until I get them to where they're in a place that I like. It's contrast mostly that I'm futzing around with the right balance between light and dark. I like that question. Time is the only essence. Okay, that's a cool username. Do you find photography versus videography work different parts of your brain? Do you find photography versus videography work different parts of your brain? Or is it ultimately a relatively similar pursuit? For someone who wants to get into doing both, which would you recommend they start with? Sir, ma'am, that is 3 questions. Fine, I don't care. Do you find photography versus videography work differently in parts of your brain? Yes, they work different parts of your brain, but they're similar. You're making images. A good image, you have to expose correctly. You have to frame it correctly. With videography, it's moving, it's organic, it's real, it's unfolding, it's changing. Framing changes, the lighting can change, everything can change within a shot. You have to think about that. And then, you have to make thousands of choices as you're doing it and reacting. And with an image, the reason I got so much into photography is because it's like so immediate and so instantaneous. And of course you can work on an image and develop it and change it and edit it. But I like that instantaneous result. It's just like you have something. With motion and video work, it just takes forever. They do use different parts of your brain. I've tried to do both at once, and sometimes I will, but it's really hard to switch back and forth between those parts of your brain and looking at things and, oh, this is unfolding, so I need to stay with this thing, or this is happening and I just need to get a single shot. It's very interesting. Is it ultimately a relatively similar pursuit? Yes, tons of overlap and similarities, wildly different. For someone who wants to get into doing both, which would you recommend they start with? I don't know. I see a lot of pro photographers complaining or noting that they're being expected to also do video. I've been doing video professionally for a long, long time, and then began to add in photos after the fact. So I kind of have flipped that script. At this point in my life, I'm really love motion picture storytelling and want to direct movies and make movies and documentaries and things. But I also wouldn't mind just having a full-time career as a photographer, which I don't. I do quite a few photo jobs, but it's still just a small part of my overall income. So I don't know, you got to do you. We all have different paths. There's no set way in the life of being a creative, in the path towards sort of like being able to exist off your creativity. The tools have never been better, but it's maybe never been more difficult to actually make a living, because anybody can do it. Anybody can, like it used to be, you know, it's so democratized now. The tools are insane. Everybody's like, yeah, you can make an awesome movie with your iPhone, or you can take good pictures. Well, yeah, but these things cost like $1,500. For that money, you can buy a really good camera and do even better. What's your point of view? What's your story? What do you want to tell? What do you want to say? That's what you should be worried about. What do you want to do the most? You want to do both? Okay, what do you want to do the most? What's the path of least resistance? What opportunities are available to you right now? What stories are in front of you? What's burning a hole in your belly trying to get out? What wakes you up at 4 a.m. thinking, I gotta go do this? Nobody else is doing this, I gotta do this. That's a calling. So find out what your calling is and go forth. That's my advice. Good question. Eddie Carrasco Jr., focal length of choice for cinematography. I know Eddie. Eddie came to one of my talks. I did a thing in Vegas this last fall, and Eddie came. Eddie's a good dude. He's got a YouTube channel, and I'm going to link that below. You should check out Eddie's YouTube channel. Focal length of choice for cinematography. Eddie, bro, depends on the story. It depends on the shot. It depends on what's going on in front of you. You know, sometimes you want a 16mm. You want to see the world. Sometimes you want to, you know, shoot a bear on a ridgeline a mile away, so you need a 1,000mm lens. It depends on what you're filming. Lens of choice, you know, okay, so just in general, okay, you got 1 or 2 lenses. What's your lens of choice? I want a 35 or maybe a 50. These days, probably a 35. Probably a fast 35 if I just got to have one lens. But, you know, if you only get to pick 1 or 2, you can't do everything. So, good question, bro. With regards to your photographic portrait style and your studio, how do you see it evolving to keep the adventure alive? You guys know about my studio, right? Tons of videos in my studio. It is evolving. I just shot there the other day. I shot these three friends came down, 3 models, a couple of them from the East Coast, 1 from here. We had a great time. We did some cool stuff. I hope that shows up in a video eventually on the channel. Sometimes I feel like, I don't want to shoot in the studio anymore. I'm done with that. I want like a real studio. I want to do other stuff. But I get down there and I have a good time. I love the light. I love the possibilities. And it's fun and it's easy. But my eye's evolving. The work that I want to do personally is evolving. I want to do a little more crafting. I want to do sort of more high concept things. I want to do things where maybe I actually could I need a little help to do it, or I need big lights and I need things. I mean, I have like big ambitious ideas that I'm not going to be able to realize under a bridge. But yeah, that's a good question. How do you see it evolving to keep the adventure? Okay, let me answer that specifically. Well, the adventure is the journey of creating something, right? What does adventure mean? Adventure means like you don't know how it's going to end. It's a little dangerous. The future's uncertain. You could fail. That's an adventure. My personal work, I'm always trying to add an element of risk. I don't mean personal risk. I don't mean I'm putting myself in danger necessarily. I'm not above some calculated risk. Yeah, and I do that, you see on the channel. I'm like going over creeks and along cliff edges and yeah, I mean, I will calculate some risk. That's technically more dangerous than being in a nice, comfortable studio. But also, when I really say risk, I just mean like risk of failure, risk of like, oh, well, if you don't bring it all all of your attention, all of your skill, all your passion, all your focus, you could fail. You could not realize this thing in front of you, this to its full potential. So that is the adventure to me, and I'm never gonna stop having that as an element. I think it's essential. It's essential to know that if you don't 100% bring it, you might fail. And failure, it sucks to fail. I mean, you learn, but I don't want to learn that way. So, and then sometimes, you know, the bar is up here and you try, you're like, okay, I'm just going to really try and do this. I don't know if I can, and you fail. And it's not very good. And so then next time you take that knowledge, you take that experience, and you do something better. So that's adventure. That's risk. That's art. That's creativity. This nice person, J-Law, asked another question. Also, if you are allowed a second question, well, somebody asked 3, so you are allowed. Your portraits have got to a level way beyond just a hobby, so where to now with regards to curating some form of physical manifestation like an exhibition or a book? Ah, man, it's just so much stuff I want to do. I want to go into a studio for like a month and bring in a bunch of friends and models and people and just make a whole bunch of new work. I really want to do that, and maybe that will come out as a book or a zine or something, or a gallery show. I actually really want to do that. I want to craft some kind of fine art, portraiture, physical movement stuff in a studio. I can't really tell you or explain it, but I have ideas. I want to do that really badly. I want to find a studio that I can, you know, I can make it make sense, and I can get in there and I can have kind of a residency. That's a big dream of mine. As far as a lot of the work, and I also am really, really keen on doing a series of zines. I have this idea where I want to just do a zine series where maybe I just release 2 zines a year, because I really want my work to be manifested physically, where it hasn't been very much. So I want to start doing that. And of course, within that, there will be some portraiture. But I would probably just do it as like a block of work, and that way I can get permission from all the models and to print them and to publish it and to do all that. It's actually quite complicated. Sort of. I mean, not really, but it's more difficult than just going out under a bridge and shooting your friends. So, good question. Hope I answered that. Oh, this is the last question. How many? 25 minutes. Not too bad. I'm trying to give good answers, but, you know, stay concise, stay rapido, fast. Not get too long-winded like I am doing now. Jonathan Robson Photo asks, I always thought a monochrome camera would fit your style like a glove. Have you ever thought to try one? I have thought to try one. They're very expensive. I would love to have a monochrome M. If money didn't matter, I'd probably buy an M11 monochrome. I would love to have an M11 monochrome. It's just that they're like almost $10,000, and like, I'm not gonna spend $10,000 for something that isn't gonna make me any money, and I don't know that it would. I have thought about, you know, maybe if I do a zine series and I sell enough zines, I'll just take that money and buy like maybe an M10 monochrome, like a used one. That'd be pretty cool. I could bang it around and drag it around, and I would love to have a digital M monochrome to go with my Leica M6 film camera, and then just have a digital and a film and have the same camera, and I think that'd be cool. I think in my future that's going to happen. It's not a priority. Those cameras are they're very expensive in today's terms. They're not super practical, but they're super fun to shoot. I have shot an M monochrome. My buddy Mark Twite, who you've seen on this channel, he gave me my M6. He shoots M monochromes, and he's lent me one of his before for a few days when I was visiting in Salt Lake, and tooled around and shot it. I shot, when we did the SEAL campaign, I used SEAL's M monochrome, did some pictures of him with it. Really love it. I love the M monochromes. I don't know about a Q monochrome, maybe, but if I was gonna spend the money on a monochrome camera, it would be an M. So either an M10, maybe a used M10, or an M11. Yes, I covet those cameras. I've thought about it a lot. I want one. That's the Q&A. Thanks for watching. Bunch of cool stuff coming up, and I better get to it. So if you got any questions, comments, complaints, anything I didn't cover, any more questions, whatever, you know, bang, 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 and we'll see you very soon. Take it easy, folks.